Oh, not only this week on the Pete the Planner Show do we have financial tips for you, but we also have sartorial tips for you here on the Pete the Planner Experience. Welcome back, everyone. It's good to be with you. Joined as always by Damian Dunn. My man, how are you, Dame?
I am well. How are you?
Fantastic. And the queen of turtlenecks, Kristen Elanius. Kristen, before the show, you were sharing some turtleneck best practices with Dame and I. Sort of a weird choice of audience for you. And I thought, let's open that up a little bit and have you share your turtleneck tips with our audience. So, Kristen, what have you learned about turtlenecks?
Well, you're kind of overselling it. It's just the one tip. Just that
That's all you need.
Instead of if you're a podcast listener, you're loving this. My turtleneck collar is tucked in instead of the turtleneck being flipped out. And it's just a very different look. And I like it. It looks nice. I saw it on TikTok.
Okay, but you aren't saying it looks good. Your argument to Dame and I, neither really turtleneck users, was that it felt better. And that's
true.
Okay. So it's dual purpose. It's sort of two things. It looks good, feels good.
Looks good, feels good.
Dame, any fashion tips that you want to present today?
Bald guys should not wear turtlenecks.
That is aesthetically alarming for those that are in the know. Hello, everybody. Good day, Danza. Dame, on the show today, we have the world's longest email.
Yeah.
First 3 segments, we're going to read it. Fourth segment, we're going to answer it.
We're only partially joking. It is a great email. It is long.
Do you think when Chaucer emailed Canterbury Tales to his editor that the editor was like, gee, many Christmas, this is the world's longest email?
Yeah, he's like, it's going to take a couple reams of paper to get this thing printed out.
It's a really obscure literature joke that my wife would appreciate if she listened to this show. We were just talking prior to the show here about some interesting data that I've gathered in my life, and I want to share it with you all. I've already shared it with Turtleneck Queen and Dame, but so this whole crew here on the show, we are doing dry January. Dame, correct?
Still going strong.
Kristen?
Still sober.
It hasn't gone damp. It is officially dry.
Yes.
Dry January. I am dry January as well. And so this year, because I have a whoop strap, whoop, I have a whoop strap. And so I have data about my sleep and my heart rate and my skin temperature, all these sorts of things. The data from January 1st on, and today is Friday the 13th. I don't know if I'll ever drink again. And by the way, I will probably very soon. But the data suggests that my resting heart rate has gone down nearly 20% over the last 13 days. It's crazy.
If you wouldn't have shown it to me, I would have not believed you.
It's compelling data. You can see it just levels out.
Some of the other data makes sense to me, but isn't alcohol a depressant? So the fact that alcohol is raising your heart rate just feels so counterintuitive. I looked at it. It's true. It happened, but it just doesn't, it feels backwards in my head.
Well, here I read something about this today because I knew you would ask. Actually, I just read something about it and now I'm acting like I'm intuitive. So when you sleep, your body is incredibly, incredibly active. However, alcohol interferes with that. So it forces your heart to pump faster and more to make up for the fact that alcohol is inhibiting your body working as you sleep. And so that's why. Is that the smartest thing ever said on this show? Didn't that feel very big?
Could have been, yeah.
Speaking of, I gotta go. Jeremiah notes, we answering my question from 2018 today. Really hoping Pete thinks my wedding is a great idea because we're married from almost 5 years now. Okay, so I didn't answer your question on the air, Jeremiah. Oddly enough, didn't have time. Okay, we do have time for the world's longest question today, and we're going to start that in just a moment. Any more housekeeping here? Dame, everything good in your life? Anything you want to share publicly?
Aquaduns hit the pool again this weekend, so good luck to them.
Oh my gosh. Well, that is good. Well, can you send me some updates, please?
Absolutely.
The Land Duns are big fans of the Aqua Duns. Kristen, anything interesting in your life?
I'm playing in a euchre tournament this weekend.
God, so Midwest.
Very.
I got a loner. How did your last Christmas go? Not like last Christmas, like, you know, you're gonna die, but like, how did the last one that you had, which was last Friday night, go?
It was good. It was really good. I did get pots and pans, so my kitchen is far more equipped now than it was the week before.
Fantastic. I feel like I had something of note I was going to share with you all. My 13-year-old girls soccer team that I coached, and they're all turning 14 this year. We were practice this Wednesday, training, if you will, and on the pitch, not the field. And they don't laugh at me anymore, guys.
Oh no!
Like it just occurred to me, like after doing goofy voices, like because I'm myself all the time, and like they're just deadpanning, staring me down, and I'm like, you know. And I called them out. I was like, so are we not laughing here in 23? Is this the year of not laughing at me? And then they just didn't even acknowledge it. I was like, wow, this is bad for my ego. I might have to quit.
I was just going to ask, are you going to be able to continue as coach if you're not getting the feedback and the desired results, whether it's on the pitch or in your routine that you're looking for?
Well, Dame, I think you've known me long enough to know that if someone doesn't laugh, am I the one to give up or am I one to take it to an absurd level until I get what I want?
Yeah, it's going to go well trying to battle soon to be 14-year-olds.
Exactly.
Well, just wait till I show up in practice training next Wednesday in a costume. That's what I've decided to do. I'm going to get like a costume, like a Spider-Man. I got to do something. I got to get the laughs.
I should go as Ollie's Halloween costume.
Oh my God, I can't. All right. Thanks for making me remember that. Okay, let's do a thing here called radio. Oh, but it just occurred to me actually last week. I don't think that we've explained sort of what this show is. Some people get it.
Do we know?
No, it's just for like, let's say there's someone new listening today, which why in the hell would anyone do it? This is a podcast that is the recording of a radio show. That's just what I wanted to say.
Okay, yeah.
We have a syndicated radio show. And so when we count down and we time things and we go out, it's all because I have to deliver 4 segments to the syndication network. One is 9 minutes and 22 seconds. Another is 9 minutes and 23 seconds. And then the last 2 segments are 9 minutes and 40 seconds each. That's why so it's a show within a show. And I personally like the dynamic of we're going to show you what a show looks like to be produced. And then I like the in-between stuff because we can be just a little looser, faster and looser.
The commercial breaks, if you will.
Jeremiah makes an interesting point. I don't know how he has time for all this. This is a financial improv podcast. You know what?
That's not a bad description.
So true.
I kind of feel that way. We did have a thing around the office a couple days ago or yesterday, all runs together. We were trying to say, who is the funniest person at our company? Obviously, excluding professional comedian. Who is the funniest person at our company? So what, Kristen, who do you think?
Oh my. That's tough. Go to Dame. Let me think.
Okay, Dame, who do you think the funniest person in our organization is?
Probably Chad Force. Just because his sense of humor is very similar to mine.
Yeah, Chad's very funny. Chad's very funny.
That was my first thought too, was Chad, because I go all the way back to the first time I was in office for the awards. And I was just like, how do you guys get anything done? But you two were like ping-ponging off of each other.
Yeah.
So I, in fairness, Chad, I don't know if Chad's that funny on his own, but he was pretty funny then.
I believe Molly to be the funniest person here. Like, I think she's hilarious, but I work with her pretty close. So I talk to her a lot. And then Greg got some votes too.
That's fair.
But Greg's more fun than funny. That's the thing about Greg. Mm-hmm. He's not telling jokes, but he's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Kristen, are you more fun or funny?
I'm neither, really.
Yeah, I was about to say
that an option?
Thing. Yeah, I was just actually thinking about that.
Neither one.
Dame's a little more funny than fun.
Yeah, but that's not a big bar.
It's not a big bar, but there's some distinction. I'm definitely not fun and very funny. But Kristen, maybe you're right. Maybe you're neither funny nor fun.
I at work I'm pretty different. I would say that if you ask someone outside of work, they would probably say more funny than fun because I just sometimes say things that are unhinged and it's usually funny.
I'm just looking up the definition of not funny, not fun here on my iPad dictionary, and it says gives turtleneck tips on a podcast.
You made me do that.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying, girl.
Kristen, I only wear neutrals, Elanius, and her turtleneck tips.
I think someday I'm gonna buy you like a salmon colored sweater or
Don't do it.
blouse.
Don't do it.
Do you have any blouses?
Blouse.
No, I'm under 30.
Oh, good morning, Rick Swink. Oh, wait, can we talk blouse? Can we do a little blouse chat?
Blouse talk.
Blouse talk.
I don't really even know what a blouse technically is.
Blouse talk. Wait, that was we're going deep. I gotta go the other way. I like it better. Blouse chat. What is how's a blouse different than a shirt?
I don't know. I have no idea. That's what I'm saying. I'm a young millennial. It's a shirt.
You know what? I'm gonna regret this. Do you guys want to call Mrs. Planner on the air?
Yes.
No, I can't. I don't want to do that. But I'm gonna text her. Why is a blouse called?
I got the really boring answer off of Google, but let's see what Mrs. Planner comes back with. Mrs. Advice, if you're watching, feel free to chime in.
Does a blouse have buttons? Does it have something to do with buttons? No, that wouldn't be right. Is it? Is it antiquated? Okay.
Love Jeremiah's comment. Straight to the Tinder profile. Voted, quote, not funny, not fun at work.
Oh, no. Pete just messaged you and I and said their power went out. Pete's frozen. I thought he was texting.
I did too. All right, everybody. So here's the situation. Our building was built in 1853.
Really?
No, but it feels like it. We have spotty utilities occasionally, and every once in a while we have flickers of power. We have internet issues. Who knows? So I mean, there's all sorts of things, the maladies that could fall on us any given day, and it looks like power has chosen to raise its head. So, Kristen, what do you feel? Do you think we should continue on with a question, or should we let the people roll?
I'm concerned because Pete is the host of this StreamYard. We're not going to be recording anything.
It still says live, and I've got the little red dot in my Chrome tab that says we're recording. I don't know. Maybe we're okay. I mean, he's back.
Oh.
We thought you were texting. We didn't know.
we thought you were just waiting for Mrs. Planner's response. Is what I thought you were doing. I was like, well, he's dragging this out. I can't believe we're just dead air here, but whatever.
Okay. Hi. So here's the thing. We're getting fiber in the office today. And so there's a lot of like cables and things around. So I don't know what happened, but I will note this. When the guy here doing the fiber, it takes every ounce of me not to make like fiber jokes, you know, like, sure, you got plenty of roughage, those sorts of things. Let's hope that doesn't happen again. By the way, if it does happen again, you guys are running the clocks. The recording is still happening.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. Yeah. So make sure you just finish the job.
We will do our best in your stead.
Okay. Okay. Let's get started on the show. Anyway, point is, Kristen, very simple. I'm going to buy you a salmon blouse.
No.
Blouse.
I can't wear reds anyway, so that's no.
You can wear reds.
I can't. I have red undertones. That's why
no
one
cares, Kristen.
Have
you ever heard?
cares.
You can wear any color. That's
You
all
can wear
BS.
then wear a turtleneck.
I'm going to call BS.
Turtleneck is not a
Wear
color.
a turtleneck.
Turtleneck
Well,
is
if you
not a
can wear
color.
anything.
Oh, I could wear a turtleneck. I would just aesthetically, I would look like something.
Aesthetically, pinks and reds don't look good on me.
Dan,
Same
what
argument.
What color do you look bad in?
Most colors.
I look bad in flesh tones.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know anymore because I have like a very limited palette that even hangs in my closet. But
Let's start the show. I think people are just turning this off. They're like,
very
Jiminy
important.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Life is getting worse. 3, 2, 1. This week on the Pete the Planner Show, we answer your morning questions. Here's how the show works. We check our email, and you email us at askpete@petetheplanner.com. By we, I mean Kristen Elanius, the Director of Education at Your Moneyline, and Damian Dunn, who's the Vice President of Advice at Your Moneyline, and me, Peter Dunn, raconteur. I don't know what that means. Hey, guys.
Hey, Pete.
Hello.
What is a raconteur? I feel like
No
some
clue.
people, I'll have to look it up. We have the world's longest email that we're going to start reading right now so that we don't go into the next block of programming on your radio station. So you got everybody good? Are ready to go? I'm going to skip a lot of lines here so we can get it done. It's a great question. This is a question that came in via askpete@petetheplanner.com. Hi, Pete, Damian, and Kristen. My husband and I have been debating the best way to purchase a home. We live in a mid-sized city and want to stay in city bounds. Much like the rest of the country, housing values have risen significantly since we started looking in 2020. Our budget was originally $425,000 American dollars, but now has risen to $500,000. And I'll do the math for you, everybody. That's a $75,000 difference, or even a little more. And I say a little more given that there's going to be some flexibility in this question coming soon. We currently own a home and have at least $150,000 in equity. We owe $110,000, so the home is worth $260,000 to $300,000. The equity would be used towards the new house. We have 1 kid in daycare, no other debt, and live within our means. Anytime someone says they have 1 kid in daycare, it makes me think, well, they have 1 kid in daycare and then like 1 they just leave in a drawer at their house. You ever think about that?
Absolutely.
No.
Okay. We really want to keep our, Kristen, you don't think that?
No.
Okay, we got to get through this. We really want to keep our mortgage payment under $2,000 a month to feel comfortable with our budget and life expenses. Dame, are we tracking so far?
I think so.
Okay. Additionally, I have a mutual fund that was a nest egg started for me as a baby, currently valued around $540,000. Yes, I'm aware of my privilege. It is mine to use as I see fit. I've tapped into it only a few times. Some college expenses, a car, the down payment on my current house. I wanted to keep going like backpack to Europe, a Maserati, the finest caviar. But no, it doesn't. It doesn't put that. It has seen some huge swings over time, given the market, but has recovered all of the losses it saw in early 2022. That's actually impressive.
Yeah.
My eyebrows are skeptical. Go ahead.
Oh, is that your color palette? Skeptical?
Yep.
We were planning on using some of it to help with the down payment of the house, but here's our debate. With the rise in interest rates, we feel our purchasing ability has declined. We want to keep our payments under that $2,000 a month cap. Of course they have, right? I mean, we're all in alignment there, right?
Yes.
House prices that would have meant $1,800 payments are now significantly higher because of the interest. I suggested that maybe we use a larger chunk of the mutual fund along with the equity we will get from the sale of our current house to buy our house in cash. For instance, we could have a budget of $550,000, taking the house equity and the rest from the fund. With no mortgage, we could pump money back into the mutual fund. If we did $1,500 a month, it would take around 17 years to get back to the current value. That is not even accounting for growth over time. It would be a lower payment than if we had a mortgage. That frees up some extra money for other things, son's college, retirement, backpacking to Europe. In my brain, 17 years to repay money to myself sounds like better than 30 years to repay money to bank with an interest. Of course, there'd be a huge tax hit for taking the money out of the fund. Huge. We would have to pay that off using savings of the money we'd have spent on the mortgage for a few months. But would this be a smarter decision? Would it be better to buy the house in cash instead of a 5, 6, or even higher percentage mortgage? Thanks for your thoughts. I would prefer not the use of my name or city or making fun of backpacking trips across. No, they didn't put that word. Okay. How much time do we have left in the show?
None.
I love this question. By the way, can you hear noise in the background? The fiber man is over there putting fiber in our office.
You're not going to like the answer, so let's keep going.
Okay. For those listening on the air or off the air, I don't know how you would do that. I'm sorry for the noise. Not my choice. Kristen, how do you begin to break this down? I mean, I think it's a very simple question dressed up in a lot of words.
I would agree with that. And I think that maybe looking at the pros and the cons of the proposed plan, there are definitely pros here. A pro is that in 17 years, they've repaid their mortgage free and their kids around college age. I would presume if the kid is currently in daycare, I think that's a pretty big plus.
Yeah. Dame, here's where I struggled with this. What are the variables that got them to repayment in 17 years? What rate of return and growth did they use on that money? Have you run it?
No, a better show would have run those numbers, but I did not run those numbers ahead of time.
God, thank goodness, because I was going to feel inadequate had you done that.
Yeah.
My gut tells me that the person used below 8%.
I think it was 6. I was messing with the numbers this morning. But I think it might have been maybe 8 minus, they maybe factored in a little bit of inflation. I don't know how they got to that, but I think it was probably about 6.
Maybe, maybe the best way to actually answer this question is to go a route we typically don't go, but it's to say, and I'll just put it to you directly and then I'll do it myself when you guys are done. But what would you do? We try not to do that because it's not always that clean. Dame, I'm going to start with you, the senior member of our team. Oh, man. What would you do if it were you?
This is a really challenging scenario if I was in their shoes, because having just a pile of cash sitting there to be used for whatever you want would stress me out. Am I using it the right way? Am I not? The first thing I would do is ascribe a specific goal to at least a portion of that. Make it, put a fence around it. If that situation comes up, I use it. If not, it's there for retirement or whatever in the future. So I would look at the rest of everything that I've got going on. Am I on track for retirement? Am I on track for everything else? And then how much of that money do I have left to use for housing? And if it's there, I probably use it.
All right. So you were saying you would use the money for the down payment
after I made sure I had all my other bases covered. Other than that, then I just get a mortgage and do it the old-fashioned way.
But the person's question was, do they just take the whole thing and pay cash for the house? Would you pay cash for the house?
Only if all my other goals are taken care of.
Okay. Kristen, what would you do?
No way. I disagree with Dame on this one. First, I would come all the way back to what I think is the true question. And if we need to do all of this fancy accounting where we take money from here, pay these taxes there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, do I really need to move? And I know that people hate that question. I hate that question, but do you really have to? And if the answer is yes, I think what I would do is I would take some money out of the mutual fund, or I wouldn't take more money out of the mutual fund. I would put the equity down. If I needed to supplement a little bit of cash, I would supplement it monthly out of the mutual fund. And then I would refinance when interest rates were hopefully better than they are now.
Man, we've got a minute left. But here's the thing. I agree with Kristen 1000%. I would barely touch it for the down payment. Barely. This is going to turn into $2 million in 17 years if you leave it alone. $2 million if you leave it alone. And if you say, well, we own our house outright. Oh, cool. An illiquid asset that has no assigned growth rate to it. Like, then you have to borrow from it to have it make sense. 0% chance I would liquidate an asset. I would absolutely let it affect your buying decision, which is no one wants to hear. Then I would refinance that sucker in about 3 or 4 years when interest rates come down, and I would change it to a 15-year mortgage. I mean, this is $1 million mistake, multi-million-dollar mistake if you do it the wrong way. I will be more dramatic about this after the break, right here on the Pete the Planner Show. Like, how loud is it?
Not.
I only heard it that one time after
Yep.
you pointed it out. It's fine.
I'm sort of silently seething. My heart's beating faster. Clearly, I haven't had any booze.
Whoop is going to have a field day with you.
Whoop, whoop. Actually, let's check my heart rate right now. Let's do that and see.
I don't think I did a very good job of explaining my
Clearly, you had a terrible answer. What? Why? How did you come up with that?
No, because I'm a lot closer to where you are. Because
78.
if my retirement isn't on track from where it should be, I'm fencing that money off. It's not in the consideration. If I want to make sure that I've got a good chunk of my kids' college paid for, which I would, I'm not touching that. I am going to be lopping off huge chunks of money that I would not have access to for this specific purpose. I would not, there's no way I'd be able to pay for this whole thing in cash. I would be able to access some of it for a down payment, though.
Okay, so first, the person does not make much mention of retirement other than a phrase that says that frees up some extra money for other things, son's college account, retirement. So they would use supplemental money to put more money towards retirement. Tells me that retirement's not taken care of.
I think we missed. This is like good content for the second segment.
Okay, well, let's just stop that.
Shut up.
Okay.
Sorry, your turtleneck got me distracted. It's turned in instead of out.
Yeah.
And so it captures the eye.
It's because I can breathe.
Oh, that's good. In 3, 2. Oh, not ready. Stop it. It's the turtleneck. It's so distracting, Kristen. Be a
It's
professional.
neutral.
Let's just have like better neck hygiene, you know? I don't know what that means.
That's what J.O. meant.
That is what J.O. meant. J.O. texted me last week. She's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Did I say something wrong?" I'm like, "No, I'm just a jack fella." Okay, let's. I'm trying to time up the segment here. In 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner show, answering the world's longest email question. Here's the essence: a person has $540,000 in a mutual fund. They just sold a home and want to buy another home, and they want to know, should they pay cash for the new home since interest rates are higher? And then they could just rebuild the mutual fund. It would take 17 years to get back to even. And that's sort of where we paused. We thought Dame said, go ahead, good idea. And then during the break, he said, no, that's not what I said. But we think he said that because Kristen and I actually gave good answers, which were, don't do that.
Yeah, it was no. No was your answer.
Yeah. We said no. Dame said yes if you've taken care of everything else. And then we talked about it during the break. And then Kristen said, Peter, shut your lips. Let's talk about this on the air. And so, Kristen, what point were you going to make that you made me stop talking about it during the break?
Yeah, you really misquoted both Dame and I there in your summary.
That's my job. That is my job.
I was going to say that something that I think we overlooked that pushed me to the decision that I made is that in the description of the mutual fund, the emailer said that they've tapped into the mutual fund for other big purchases. Behaviorally, that really concerns me because if you've used this kind of as your intermediate savings account as you've gone, maybe they've put more money into it along the way. I don't know. That concerns me from a behavioral perspective. Are you really going to put $1,500 every month into this account when your kid's in travel soccer in 7 years? I don't know.
Dame?
I agree. No, my point is that maybe it was misunderstood, but I'm going to be cordoning off huge amounts of money out of this, and I would only have a very small amount left for a down payment or additional whatever to try and get into this new house. I didn't even try to imply that I would just stroke a check out of the account and buy the new house and then repay it. That's anybody that knows me know that's not how I would do things.
Yeah, it's weird because when you started answering, that's what I heard. And I was like, wow, he's either not communicating what he means or he's lost his mind.
No,
the latter.
I've kept my faculties and I will stand by that.
Kristen, I think it is a behavior question too, right? It's like, okay, well, if that faucet is open, when does it ever get shut off? And I don't know. I would have it's interesting. He's like, well, I can do whatever I want with the mutual fund. Awesome, great. That's fantastic. I would not do this. Because again, let's look at it. $2 million, that's at an 8.5% interest rate, or pardon me, rate of return. So $2 million is what this 550 can turn into, 540, whatever, no one cares, in 17 years. And then if you play your cards right with refinancing in a couple of years and go into a 15-year mortgage, and I don't know their cash flow situation, they could also own the home outright at that point in time.
And I also want to be clear that I'm not throwing any shade at the emailer. I think that most of us would not be capable of repaying an account that someone wasn't forcing us to repay. I just really think that behaviorally, collectively, we are not capable of doing that. I'm not calling the emailer out. I want to make sure that that's clear.
I am. No, I'm not.
I'm
I
not.
don't care. I mean, no, I do. You're right. It is so hard. And this person is so deeply entrenched in this situation that it calls for a deep breath, and it calls for an email to someone that knows what they're talking about. Like, I hope we prevented a mistake, right? I'm not so sure what will happen. Dame, we have seen a version of this so many times.
Oh yeah.
Over the years. This seems extreme because of the ability to stroke a check because of the mutual fund, but we see this all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I just had a phone call like this week, honestly, with someone who is going to be inheriting a large sum of money, and were wondering if they should, basically liquidate good chunks of it to get rid of some debt, and had to kind of talk them through the process of, here's what that's going to cost you in the long run. Hey, the debt is manageable now. I understand the desire to be debt free that fast, but nobody is forcing your hand right now to do that. And so there's no reason to lump other really, really big decisions in amongst the emotion of going through this big change in your life. So let's let things play out for a little while, regrip in 6 to 12 months, and we'll make the best decision we can at that point.
You know what doesn't make sense to me, Kristen? That might be a mistake in how the person told the story, is how did their portfolio recover from the beginning of 22 to the end of 22, and yet that sort of investment objective and style would lead to recouping the money in 17 years. Those two things don't make sense. First of all, I mean, maybe this is a question for Dame, because he tracks the stuff, I think, closer than you and I do. Like,
yeah,
Dame, what sort of portfolio could recover in 2022?
The kind that never went down in the first place. They were invested in Berkshire Hathaway the whole time.
Oh, here we go. No, don't do this. I would like to say Dame tried to cheat again in the 2023 stock pick thing by taking Bed Bath & Beyond because it's about to go bankrupt, and it went up like 15% this week. So we should have let him keep it.
Should have let him. You're welcome.
Oh well.
Yeah, I think he's just out there telling jokes like Dame Chappelle.
That was good too.
To keep that man's name out of your mouth.
By the way, that's from Molly. That's from anyway. What, Dame? What portfolio? Honestly, what portfolio? A mutual fund. What mutual fund? That's not even a portfolio. It's a mutual fund. What mutual fund?
Yeah, mutual fund. I have no idea. I mean, you could have feasibly had a portfolio of specific equities, but you would have had to have the best stock picker in the world, and get lucky on top of that to be able to go through that the last couple of years and be in complete recovery by the end of 22.
If they're a low to no risk investor, like we're talking cash equivalents, high, like, government bonds, does that change your answer to the question?
Potentially. I just don't think that's the case, because they said it's fluctuated significantly over it has seen some huge swings over time given the market, but has recovered all of the losses it saw in early 2022. That seems it's either a detail that was sort of messed up, because it's impossible.
What's huge, Pete? I mean, depending on the investor type, a fluctuation of 5% in your portfolio might feel like the world is ending. But if it's 30%, now a lot of people are going to get the attention on that one.
Interesting point. 5% of $500,000 is a $25,000 swing, and $25,000 is a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay, so
does it change the answer?
I don't know, because here's where we've now landed. We've landed the fact that we think they have an incredibly conservative portfolio. Oh, wait a second. It was a nest egg started for me as a baby. So if it's that conservative, how in the world did it grow at
Maybe it was only $500,000 to begin with. It's grown 40,000 in 30 years.
Dan's a Facebook Live viewer and former listener of the year. She brings up a really interesting point here. Not that I really care, but it's worth mentioning in the last minute. What would Dave Ramsey say about this? What is Dave Ramsey's advice here? Is Dave Ramsey, of course, if you don't know, Dave Ramsey is a personal finance expert, much like Kristen. And right. Well, Kristen, in the sense that you guys are both big deals. They disagree on about everything, but they're both big deals. He's like, well, no, you don't go into debt. So he would take the mutual fund, right? Is that what Dave Ramsey would say? Take the mutual fund.
I don't know in this case if he would or not, because he's okay with, I think, 15-year mortgages, but he is very, very anti-debt.
I think he would say use the mutual fund.
I think he would too.
I don't know. Boy, this show just turned into us speculating about what people on other shows would say.
That's good.
We may have jumped the shark. All right. Coming up after the break, how do you choose a financial advisor? Popular question in the inbox this week, so we'll talk about it right here on the Pete the Planner Show. Dame Ramsey, what would you do?
I'd go take a ride in my pickup truck with, never mind.
Don't do it.
Yep.
So what do you think the real story on the email is? I'm with you. I think it could be a really conservative investor. And that's the thinking. That's why it took 17 years.
I think that could be true. I still don't know if behaviorally, if I would be comfortable with them taking such a large chunk out, because we also totally ignored the fact that we're talking about 15% taxes more than likely on whatever they're taking out. And that either has to come out of what they're taking from the account, or they have to come off cash to do it. I don't like either one of those things.
You're exactly right. All right. Okay.
Did you chicken out of your proposed topic or?
Well, no, I mean, we've got these other ones.
Okay.
Jeremiah notes, Dave would say, don't buy the house until all the other debts are paid, to use mutual funds to clear the debt, and then buy a 15-year note. Okay.
So I was close.
Jason says he would not say to sell. He'd say to keep the money invested and put future earnings toward paying off the remaining debt after investing 15%. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know.
Can we never speculate about that again?
You know what? I think you're right, Dame. That's on me.
Appreciate you.
Next segment is what would Susie Orman do? WWSOD. What would Tony Robbins do? He'd walk on hot coals and tell you to try harder. I don't know.
And then he'd fly to his island.
And I don't know. Who knows? Who cares? Okay, let's start the segment in 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner Show, my Indianapolis Business Journal column a few weeks ago talked about, like, just get a financial advisor. What are you doing? What are you doing? And then we got a bunch of questions on it. So we got 3 variations of the question, and I'm going to read them all, and they'll turn into this mega question that Kristen will seamlessly answer along with Dame Ramsey. Saw something online from you. Oh, I'm reading the question. We fear that we have wasted the past 10 years of our money to learn that we have earned 2% on an overall return with our current advisor. We asked him, how is this possible? And he changed the subject, basically. How do we know if we are safe to stay with him? 2022, we earned minus 30%, but he claims this is for everyone. Thank you for your insight. I'm going to search for your podcast next. Thanks. You know what? We got to pause and hit this one first, because this can't get lost.
Yeah.
No.
I agree that everyone lost 30% last year. I mean, everyone's strong. Dame, I lost at least 30% last year. You?
Yes. Yeah.
Christy?
Oh, yeah, probably.
Okay.
High 20s.
Okay, so that's true. The last 10 years to have earned 2% overall, not 2% average, 2% overall, or 2% average. What's it really matter?
Not so good.
That seems bad.
It's not good.
Dame?
Yeah, I'm trying to come up with scenarios to try and back
No.
the
too.
advisor a little bit,
No.
but I'm going through and I don't know. I mean, even if you had the worst luck with mutual funds, um, it seems unlikely that you would have averaged 2% or just 2% overall over that time period with just bad picking. Maybe there was an aggressive trader and he was in and out of stuff all the time and really, really hurt him. But I don't know.
Yeah, and here's what worries me about it. Like, I don't mind if people underperform the market, but when they do, then they should have downside protection.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you're down 30% in a year that everyone else also is down 30% a year, then you should have enjoyed the spoils. Here's a possibility. You want to get awkward? No, that can't happen. Well, no, we could get awkward. What I was going to say isn't reality. I was thinking, is this an index annuity? But there would be downside protection.
Downside, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the opposite of what I meant. Yeah, I don't know. I would actually write your annual returns for the last 10 years on a piece of paper, and then next to them, go and find the S&P 500 and write the annual returns next to them and see where the difference is. Because Dame, I mean, just as a starting point, not as a decision point, but as a starting point.
I mean,
You're shaking your head.
It's a starting point, but what's the likelihood that that's their actual benchmark?
Well, you're right. But if they're down 30% this year,
Exactly.
then it has to be their benchmark.
No, it doesn't. You could have some really crappy investments that were down over what their peers were and still be down 30%, even though your peers were only down 23.
You ran the data for us this week that a 60-40, pull it up, a 60-40 portfolio in the last 10 years. You calculated this week or last week, didn't you?
It was this week.
Okay. A 60-40 portfolio, 60% equities, 40% bonds over the last 10 years has averaged what?
7.7%.
See?
Okay. So what's a full 100% equity portfolio on an S&P 500?
Please hold.
I love call and response data from Dame on these podcasts.
Dame loves it too.
11.9.
See?
By the way, this goes back to our last question in terms of rates of return and what is acceptable. I just also have to note.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can think of as justification is if we had a shift in investment strategy. Were these people kind of sidelined and they were scared to be involved in the market, and then they jumped in full bore in the last like 2-3 years? And that's about the only, I'm trying, my wheels are turning. That's about the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, Dame doesn't. Okay, so let's try to answer the question here. Shouldn't this person go get a second opinion? I mean, the tough part about that, I mean, you should, but every second opinion is always going to sell against the first opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah. They're kind of in a no-win situation, to be honest, because wherever you go, you're exactly right. They're going to hear why that person was wrong and how we can fix it and do better and or you just stay with the horse that you rode in on.
Force your advisor to answer the question. There's no changing the subject. This is your money. This person's being paid. You say, I want to understand what I'm invested in, and I want to understand why I have an average 2% rate of return. There should be a reasonable answer here.
Email number 2. Hi, Pete. Your recent column in the IBJ recommends that readers get a financial advisor. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on something I heard a few years ago, that many financial advisors are brokers who make money by selling particular high commission investments, that they don't have a legal fiduciary duty to do what's best for their client, and that you should seek a non-broker dealer affiliated fiduciary instead. Having never worked with a financial advisor before, it spooked me a bit. Scott B. What do you think the B stands for?
Scotty.
Not broker dealer.
No.
What? I mean, yes and no. I mean, I think it's a little over the top. Yeah, you want a fiduciary is sort of how you answer this question. Because the assertion that many financial advisors sell particularly high commission investments isn't necessarily true. Some, I don't know about many. What do you think, Dave?
Unfortunately, that's just kind of the reputation that the industry has in large. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There are advisors out there who sell high commission products, annuities, or whatever else might be in the portfolio that they're trying to push that week. But there are a lot of great advisors out there. You do want a fiduciary. You could work with a certified financial planners. CFPs are bound to be fiduciaries, whether they're working in an RIA or at a broker dealer, whatever. If you run into a CFP, they are bound to be a fiduciary by their annual oath that they stand up and swear.
Wait, it's getting a big their annual oath.
Yeah, I can't tell you about it because there's a secret handshake.
Oh,
Oh,
Kristen, Kristen, have you ever seen The Wolf of Wall Street?
Yes, I have.
So at the 10-minute mark of the movie, Matthew McConaughey sits down with Leonardo DiCaprio and tells him how Wall Street works. How do I know this? Because I thought about it last week, and I went to watch it, and I made my wife watch it because it's the greatest. If you don't mind blue humor, it's inappropriate. A lot of bad language. The whole movie, which is why it's great. But that 10-minute mark, it basically says what the old reputation of Wall Street used to be, to Dame's point, right? I don't know. This is just a little I just actually haven't even heard this perspective in 10 years or so. I feel like the industry has really sort of cleaned it up with sort of a focus on fiduciary practice. I don't know. But I feel this person, like that is a thing. It has been a thing, but go find a fiduciary and it solves the problem.
Scott, there's a lot of good advisors out there.
Lots.
Which gets to question 3. Dear Pete, thanks for the column about needing a financial planner. I'm on board. Cool. Now, what do I do? How do I find one? Thanks, Mandy. Dame, I mean, you're a CFP, certified financial planner. And so have you went to a CFP website? Can you find CFPs, which is a good thing to be? Isn't that a good place to start?
Yeah, you go to CFP board and you type in your location and they'll give you a list of all the CFPs who have said, hey, I'm open to working with new clients, and they'll be on there. And I do appreciate Kristen trying to keep us in check with how to properly use the mark.
What is it?
You have to say
trademark.
professional planner after CFP.
Look, here, I guess maybe here's a different point. I was a pretty good financial advisor back in the day. Was never a CFP.
Nope.
Never CFP. And Kristen knows about everything. She's not a CFP. A lot of people on our team have designations. I'm not a CFP. So you don't need a CFP. No. But if you're really trying to shortcut the process, it's an interesting place to start. And if a person doesn't have a CFP, it doesn't mean they don't know what they're talking about. They just don't have a CFP. Being a fiduciary, though, is certainly something that you want to look for. All right. So it's with that. We're almost at the end of the show. Coming up after the break, biggest waste of money of the week. It's always a popular segment. This one's weird. I don't know if it's good or it's bad, but it is certainly weird. All that's next on the Pete the Planner Show. I'm Pete the Planner. 4 seconds early. You know what that means, Kristen?
More John Mellencamp.
More Mellencamp for the people.
Johnny Cougar for the people.
There's actually a fiduciary designation that you can get. At least they're using
it. Really?
AIF, I think is what it's what the initials are. AIF.
Oh, I've seen that. I never knew what it was.
Raconteur, by the way, a person who tells anecdotes in a skillful and amusing way.
There you go.
Definition, Pete the Planner.
I don't know about that. Wait, what is it again? Read it again.
Gosh darn it. A person who tells anecdotes in a skillful and amusing way.
I am a raconteur.
I know.
I just said. I don't know. Fine.
I saw someone describe themselves as a raconteur, and I know this person. Not a raconteur.
Oh, no.
I never knew what it meant.
How dare you talk about Neil that way?
No, you know what? Maybe doesn't that sound like something he would say? Holy moly. Go ahead.
AIF, the Accredited Investment Fiduciary. AIF.
All right, we got to get going. Sorry, I got a gig up in the traffic country of the world. Never mind. I don't want to, think of me. Anyway, let's start the thing here. Biggest waste of money of the week. Okay, in 3, 2, 1. This week's biggest waste of money of the week, right here on the Pete the Planner Show, is I'm definitely stalling because I got to pull it up. Is the Scent Eldian helmet candle. Oh, I'm showing the price.
Yeah, it's gonna be a pretty easy guess.
No.
Yes.
Did you see the price?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dang it. Football and candles sound like an odd pair, yet this helmet candle proves they can go together. Man, I am so upset right now.
I'm so happy. I live another week.
This detailed piece has stars on one side and stripes on the other, honoring the game as an American tradition. It measures nearly 9 inches long and 6 inches high, weighs over 5 pounds.
That's a
and
big
is
candle.
right. I mean, Kristen, are you a candle person?
I do have quite a few Bath and Body Works candles. Yeah.
Is a that's why they're not going out of business. Is a 5-pound candle heavy? I mean, that's a big one, right?
That's a big candle.
It's made from natural coconut wax, hand poured and crafted in London, UK. Each candle is unique and is best used as a display piece. Please keep it away from direct sunlight. So it's $295 for this helmet candle. I would have had you guess, but I messed up. When we had the meltdown earlier, that's what happened. The meltdown.
Yeah.
Here's the strangest part. Why is an American football helmet candle made in the UK? Football over there is soccer.
Nobody cares. Nobody
I don't know.
cares.
$295 for a candle.
Jeremiah's got the best comment of the day, though. Burn
No,
one down.
No,
Burn one down.
we're not going to make fun of that.
Oh,
we're not doing that.
Okay.
We're not doing that one. All right, Dane, what's in the news this week?
Ladies and gentlemen of the audience, I would normally have passed over this story. However, after last week's stock picking extravaganza for the end of the year, I feel obligated to bring it back up and let Pete and Kristen state their cases on whether or not this is an encouraging move for their pick. Tesla cut prices for some of its vehicles sold in the U.S. by nearly 20%, aiming to lure new buyers at a time Wall Street is concerned appetite for the car maker's vehicles is weakening. The cuts, which span Tesla's lineup, are likely to allow some buyers to qualify for a $7,500 U.S. government tax credit. Elon's car company slashed the price of its baseline Model Y crossover by almost 20% to just under $53,000. And the Model 3 is now just under $54,000. So, Pete, does this news encourage you about your pick?
I'm going to answer that question directly because I like how you've set this up, but I just wanted you to know that my next comments in no way reflect the idea that I'm happy that people will lose their jobs. This is circling the drain, baby.
No.
This is good news for me who chose Tesla as my in an entertainment pick. Do not follow our financial advice. My loser of the year. So, Kristen, what say you? Because you are on the other side of this. You said, I think you believe Tesla's amazing, something like that.
That's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said. It makes me nervous. I wish that Tesla could get out of the news a little bit for my stock pick. I think it's fine. I'm not sweating yet.
Dane, what do you think? You're the neutral party here.
I am the neutral party here. I think it makes me nervous for Kristen as well. I wouldn't say that it's a harbinger of good things to come for Pete's picks this year, but it does raise some flags.
You know what's weird about I was thinking about our stock picks again over the weekend. So Dame, you beat me 2-1, right? You beat me in 2 categories. I beat you in 1. Yet coming away from that show a couple weeks ago, at least, or whatever it was, it made me feel like I got just absolutely killed. Yet I only lost by 1.
I only lost because Elon bought Twitter.
Well, yeah, and now Kristen's betting on that man.
No, that's not fair.
Hand down, man down. Mama, good. There goes that man.
That's what she says.
I don't know. All right, good next.
According to the National Association of Realtors, the average mortgage down payment among first-time home buyers last year wasn't the conventional 20%.
Of course it wasn't.
Guessing game?
Yeah.
What was it last year?
Oh,
Whose
by the way, it's
definition of
never
conventional?
20%.
Yeah.
Okay.
For a conventional mortgage.
Okay, Kristen, last year, 2022, what do you think the average down payment was? Oh, this is great. Because here's what first-time home purchase, you said?
First-time home buyers.
Okay, that's important.
5.
I was going to say, do you want to go first or second?
Oh,
she answered that question.
Okay. I'll take the over. I'll take the over.
That's not the game we were playing, but you win because it was 6%. 6%.
I knew it was 6. I was going to say 6, but I didn't. So it made it seem like I didn't win. You know what? That doesn't bother me one way or the other, because if depending on how it's creatively financed, or you get like 2 loans, or it doesn't bother. And that's not surprising given how hot the market was, right?
Mm-hmm. Not surprising.
Now, going into this year, if people do that and then they get an arm, good to get ugly. Actually, an arm's good now. It wasn't good a couple years ago. Ish.
All right. Do you want to talk big banks and their outlook on the economy coming forward, or do you want to talk eggs?
Eggs.
I've got a great egg story for the week too.
Dump your flaxseed in aquafaba. You might be able to. You might be able to afford to bake with actual eggs again soon. Egg prices are finally.
Do you know what aquafaba is, Dave?
I have no idea. It was just in the copy.
Chickpeas.
Aquafaba is like an egg white alternative.
Okay. Egg prices are finally starting to come down. I'm trying to deliver good news.
Sorry. Dave would never. Oh my.
He would never own aquafaba.
No,
Isn't it like garbanzo? It's garbanzo bean juice.
It's chickpeas.
Right?
Yeah.
Dame, I love that you said aquafaba. It was so off-brand. It was amazing.
It was so good. I'm using that clip on Instagram.
It's like me square dancing. Yeah, it was great.
Anyway, egg prices are coming down. They hit a record high average of $5.46 per dozen in December.
Do you know, I don't talk about Mrs. Planner a lot on this podcast, but this week she blew 2 dozen eggs. And so Ted has a class project in which they need full eggshells that have nothing in them. So there's this way you can poke a hole, 2 holes in an egg, a bigger one, a little one, and then you blow on the egg and it blows the yolk and everything out. So Ted was just going on and on about, Mom, you got to blow 2 dozen eggs. And so I came home and there they are, 2 dozen blown eggs.
What was Ted doing?
She had to do it when he was at school. I mean, Ted does not have the precision of one of the world's finest egg blowers like Mrs. Planner. But yeah, to my surprise, that was the discourse when I got home.
Did she have to look this up on YouTube?
You look up everything on YouTube.
That's
Do you
true.
not?
That's
you not? Did you not YouTube aquafaba?
No, I have no idea what it is. I was hoping I was pronouncing it right. I thought maybe I
You
pronounced it
were.
wrong, and that's what you were laughing at.
Yeah, you know what? I was thinking, like, all the stories this week are about how expensive egg prices were. And we bought $15 worth of blown eggs this week. Actually, they were unblown until they were
good omelets. Blown.
You should like do French toast or something. I mean,
you know what? I didn't have the heart to ask, what did we do with the egg innards?
After she spent who knows how many hours.
I feel like that would
touch, Pete.
Let's call her on the air. Actually, I did ask a question earlier, and I said, why is a blouse called a blouse? And she sent me that Dave Chappelle clip from the Dave Chappelle show that says game blouses. That's the GIF. So anyway, Dane, what else is in the news?
IBM was not the company to receive the most U.S. patents last year for the first time since 1993.
Wow.
Samsung was. IBM came in at number 2, but they were quick to explain that it was totally intended, and they meant to drop off the top of the list for the first time in 3 decades.
Okay.
It's like Pee-wee's Big Adventure, one of the greatest films ever. He falls off his bike and he pops up and he says, I meant to do that. Kristen, that is your homework for the weekend. And to everyone else, I just simply send you good vibes because that is all that's in the budget. I'm Pete the Planner, and this is the Aquafaba experience. I can't believe you brought up Aquafaba. Like, dude, that is incredible. It's funny. I don't know. It's such an obscure thing.
Well, thank goodness one of my newsletters is written by millennials in a big city.
You got it. All right, dude. That's what we got. I got to go talk to the people. I'm trying to think, did I say anything in the show today that I'm going to regret? And then I go back to the egg blowing and I'm thinking that may not go well.
It's all right. It'll be totally overlooked. People have quit listening by that point most of the time.
Yeah, that's good. That's good news. Kristen, I did get several supporters of yours after last week's show sending me pictures of Xerox paper.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yep. Xerox did make paper.
They did make paper.
1,
they didn't make the
LHman
paper.
0.
No, they did make the paper.
They did. Someone else
They had their own.
manufactured
They
it,
had
but
their
it
own
was their
mills.
brand.
No, they had their own wrappers.
Well, then
Somebody
by
else
that-
made the paper.
By that definition, no company makes anything. Their manufacturer does. Lululemon didn't make your ABC pants then.
Wow.
They are
That
very
was a win.
Aquafaba,
They are very
Dame's
comfortable.
Lululemon pants. Have Dame and I
Hey.
switched roles?
No. No.
Dame, what's happened to you've spent way too much time with me.
I know. It's like I told you, I made a very big tactical error when I tried on a pair for some reason. I was bored.
They're amazing.
They're great.
All right. Well, I gotta go. I like you both. One of you more than the other, Kristen. Sorry. I don't know. Sorry.
Thanks, Joe.
I'm just kidding. Dame, I love you, buddy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about your Aquafaba and your Lululemon pants and your flaxseed and all the other things you got going on in your life.
I'm here for the show.
Okay. Have a good weekend, everybody. Stay getting money.